What is up, YouTube? Sean the Average Angler. We are out here on the boat. We had a request, so we're going to go over some things for you to hopefully help you out, catch more fish. It's a good time of year for this technique, by the way. Actually, all year is a good time of year for this technique. This technique is a bait that will catch fish every single day. No exaggeration. What is that bait? Well, swim bait, Kitech, right? From the 2.8 to a 4.8 and beyond. It's not always as simple as it seems. Let me take those off, put my glasses on. Who am I kidding? I can't see shit. It's not always as simple as it seems. You can't just take any old underspin and put it on a 2.8. All right, this, for instance, would overpower that bait. It wouldn't get to do what it's meant to do. So you need to size your heads, not necessarily the weight, to a point the weight, but mostly the hook. I'm always looking at the hook when I'm looking to buy underspins, okay? The length of the hook. These two here have nice short hooks, okay? As you can see there, short hooks. They're probably 1.25 inches long from the head. So with a 2.8, this is a cool underspin, and you can see this is a decent sized head. Okay, one's quite a bit bigger than the other. That's a 1/4, that's probably a 3/8. So the blade goes up in size when you get the bigger head, but they continue to have the nice short shank hook here. And the cool heads uses a pretty stout hook. Now I have a plethora of heads. This is a Fishhead spin. That's on a 3.3. This Fishhead spin, a 3.3, would be overpowered by the head. Now what do I mean by overpowered? So pay attention to where the slot is in the bait. And you can see I didn't get this one on there perfectly straight, but it's on the edge of the slot. The slot here, if you get past that slot, you're taking action away from the bait. You don't want to get back into the thinner part of the bait back here with your hook, which if you used this, you're going to be another 1/4 inch back. So you're going to take a little action away from the bait. Now, this head would work on that 3.3. To me, it's still a little big. I'm going to start that with a 3.8. Here's another, I believe that's a Fishhead spin also, different style. That is on a 3.8, 3.3. Now this is a Clear Lake special head here. Very popular at Clear Lake. That is a 4.3, and there's a 4.8. Much longer hook shank. I want that bait to be able to swing freely when I'm fishing these baits. It's a little chilly outside, of course, you know. Maybe that's due to my 4th cup of coffee. All right, now there's more to it than just the head selection and bait selection. Now, on a tough day, or if you're fishing in an area that doesn't have very big fish, the 2.8 is deadly and will catch fish about anywhere and anytime you go. So where do we want to fish these? And this is gonna be the case with all of those I showed you so far, and I've got something a little different in a bit I'm gonna show you. Now, most of the time, I do not throw a spinning rod, but that is a 2.8 on a 3/16 head. That is the time when I'm going to throw the bait on a spinning rod. Now, that's just my preference. You can throw a 1/4 on it. I would never go over a 1/4 on a spinning rod. It is an open hook, so setting the hook's not a problem. This is an iRod 731, okay? Very light. I was crappie fishing with this. Might want to step it up to a 702. But with that open hook point, it's not going to be an issue hooking fish. The advantage, very good feel, very good casting ability. The disadvantage, I really just don't like reeling the spinning rod that way. I'll do it when I have to. Get over here. What do you think you're doing? All right, so what do I normally fish my underspins on? Very simple. This is an iRod 704 Gen 3. Okay. I'll also use a 703. It says 1/4 ounce to 1 1/4. Line 10 to 20 pounds. Okay, most of the time on that 1/4, I'm going to throw 12-pound test. Most of the time. Okay, that can change, but on the 1/4, you don't want to overpower again with your line, and that 2.8 is on a 1/4. And I'm going to stay with that all the way up to this guy here, which is a 3.8. Now the time where I may change that is if I'm making really long casts. Whoop. Then we may go to something like the 7'3", the iRod Gen 3 733, and I'd probably bump it up to about 14, 15 pound test. I'm not gonna go higher unless I'm at Clear Lake and I'm throwing that, okay? Now, where and how to fish these can vary. Points, guts, if you get back in coves, it's just going to depend on time of year. Points, guts, ledge areas, steep walls that you might want to fish parallel. That said, I'm always fishing these the same way in the aspect of I want them on or dang near on the bottom. I like, if that blade is spinning, to hit some rocks. I want to feel some contact. So this is generally for me a slower presentation, and I want to feel it. No matter the head, and this is another one that you could substitute for the cool head, and honestly, I wish I could tell you I knew what it was. I will look and see if I can find it, because I really like it. It's a Screwlock, and it's essentially the same size as that cool head. In the winter time, I just find these smaller hooks. Now this one's much lighter wire than the cool. The cool's a pretty heavy duty hook. But in the winter time, I just feel like the fish are a little bit more hook head shy. I don't think they're inspecting it. I just think it's the way the bait swims. When you're underspin fishing, you want to keep the bait close to or on the bottom. I say close to because you're swimming it, so it should come up over stuff, bump some rocks, that kind of thing. This helps trigger the fish. The important part is to let it get to bottom, and this is really the biggest time I see people have a problem with this, is when they're fishing guts. Okay, you're out in the middle of a cove and you're casting it down the middle. You want it to get to the bottom, okay? So sometimes it takes a little bit, and that's the other temptation at times, is to fish too heavy of a head just because you want it to get down there faster, okay? Sometimes we need to be patient. This is a pretty good head. This is a Santone's, got a nice beefy hook. You see I got a little discoloration on the blade there, but very sharp hook, nice head, wire underspin. It's got a little gap there. Probably should tighten that so I don't lose my blade and swivel. Shorter shank hooks are important to me because for the smaller baits, it's the only way it works. When you get into the bigger baits, you want to make sure you get your hook point back, and then it's no longer a problem where you're going to impede the action by having too long of a hook. This is a great one. This is a local builder, D&M. That's another like this one. I'll put them in the description. I can't remember the name of them right now. These are 6 Sense Screwlock style. And look, here's a big key, okay? I didn't mention this, and I probably should have. I've really become a fan of raw. just the raw colored head, or something like this one. That's painted, but it still looks pretty basic. I just find that I have plenty of success with that. I don't have to worry about matching heads to baits, that kind of thing. That is open hook underspins. Now, we still have a flashy swimmer, right? Time and a place for that. And depending on where you live, it might always be the time and place for that. If you're on the California Delta, the flashy swimmer's the way to go. There's too much stuff to catch on. The open hook's gonna grab onto stuff's gonna be a pain in the butt to fish. Now, I don't throw a 2.8 in that situation. And actually, I prefer, this is a G-Rat Baits Thin Swim. Fits that 3/0 really, really well. Okay, this is a Rapala Crush City Mayor. Really, really like the Mayor on the flashy swimmer. Okay, that is a 5/0. We got more body there. The Thin Swim, as you see, really thin. The Thin Swim is freaking phenomenal on the head as well, with that little tail back there that's different. You see, this is a thin bait, right? Thin from top to bottom, from side to side. And then it's got this cool little ribbing back here, and man, that tail freaking kicks. Phenomenal bait. And then the Mayor. These are the two that I really like to fish on a flashy swimmer. I will throw the Fat Swing Impact on a flashy swimmer, but I do like to get up into that 3.8 size. Just don't like the way the smaller ones work on it, okay? Now, of course, there's a ton of other choices out there as far as baits. I'm trying to keep it simple here. These are the ones I use the most. The other one would be the X-Zone Swammer. Okay, that does some different things to it as it's swimming on the head. You watch Tactical Bassing, you're probably well aware of that. But on the Swammer, I like that the Swammer doesn't have eyes on it. You can screw it on there, much like a Kitech. I'm not a big fan of double eyes. We have a set of eyes there, nothing back here. I don't know that it really matters, but it matters between my ears. Underspins are very, very good fish catchers. Quite honestly, any time of year, any day of the year, they will catch fish. Now, those are the underspins. Now let's get into one that some people don't talk a whole lot about, and that is the little ball head. Okay, there's a time where you want to leave that blade off and out of it and just use a little ball head. And this is really, really good on a 2.8. Again, you can buy different size ball heads, and here you'll see. I don't really like this one because it's got this, it's great on a bigger bait, not so good on a 2.8, okay, because it'll tear it up. But this ball head, as you'll see here, very clean. I did a shitty job again of freaking rigging that. But very, very clean. Very unobtrusive. Real simple to sneak in on a fish, surprise them, and hope we get a strike. This is probably one of the best get bit rigs going right here. Is just a plain ball head and a 2.8 to 3.3 Kitech. Pretty sure that's just an owner ball head. It's got the double collar there. Holds the bait really well, actually. And you can get them in different sizes. That's going to be a 1/0. It's a fairly stout hook for that small jig head. The other option is the core tackle. Okay, that's another small hook. This one happens to be weedless, but would also fit in that 2.8 or 3.3 just fine. Start out with those if you're just learning to fish underspins, or for that matter, just learning to fish the small Kitechs, G-Rat Thin Swim, or even the bigger Kitechs. Don't overthink it. Keep it simple. If you need weedless, go to something like that Mayor or that G-Rat Thin Swim. you don't like that color, there's plenty of other ones. Okay, as a matter of fact, very similar to that. When you're in open water, reservoir, lake, and when you can get away with it, the open hooks are phenomenal. The hookup percentage is really good, and they're fairly snag resistant. So that brings me to the last part of this. Carry a lead weight with you. You can buy them, you know, lure retriever. On this type of stuff, I prefer the lead weight. On crankbaits, swim baits, that kind of thing, the bigger cage stuff. But typically for these, a lead weight works great. It'll save you a lot of money in the long run. If you have questions, drop them down in the comments below. I do get back to everybody. I will leave a bunch of heads and stuff in the description for the stuff I had out here. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you have any other suggestions for content that you want to see, things you're having trouble with and want some help, if I can, I will help you. If I can't, then I may just say I'm not very good at that one either. But I think I'm pretty well versed in a lot of things. Sean the Average Angler, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe down below if you got something out of this content. Share with your friends. We're going to see you on the next one.